morning.
And we are live. Sorry for that little technical hiccup. I'm so excited to be welcoming Heather Waring onto today's interview series. The topic of today's or this session is called Stepping into Your Leadership Style to Grow a Global Movement with Heather Waring. So Heather, tell us, what is your global movement?
My global movement is, the mission is to impact the lives of 1 million women through the simple yet very often underrated activity of walking, because it's magical and it gives us so much. And I have an amazing online community on Facebook called 1 Million Women Walking. So if you go to groups and you want to have a look at us, that's where you'll find us. And we're one the word, 1 million women walking.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you have been I think you joined the very first cohort of Tribe Builder. You were an early adopter.
I was indeed. I think it was March 2019.
What?
Yeah. And I've been with you ever since.
So what has the process of tribe building felt like for you?
It's been an amazing journey. I mean, it's had its ups and downs like any journey when you're learning so much, because I was listening to Vicky earlier and, she's dead right. You give so much. And sometimes that can just seem a bit overwhelming. But what I've learned is kind of to stop and to, we're always able in Tribe Builder to go over things again, to rewatch calls, to look at texts and things. And, it's great. So, there's never really a getting lost, even if you feel a little, overwhelmed. And that's one of the wonderful things about it. But it's been, oh my God, I have achieved more, I think, since 2019 working with you than in all the years I've probably been in business. And I do believe some of it is timing. I think some of it is just being in the right place. But the mission would never have come to fruition, or would never have come to fruition so quickly if it hadn't been the work that we did together on this. Yeah. And so Tribe Builder has made an amazing difference to my life and my business. Yeah.
And I think you're right to talk about timing, because you are not new to business and you're not new to the thing that you were doing. So we have transformed the business model, and you've stepped up as a leader, no doubt, no doubt at all. But some of it was timing, and some of it was that the world was ready for your movement and for your mission. And what we did was build on everything you'd done to date, but make it a much simpler business model that had the capacity to grow. I mean, how big is your tribe? How big is your Facebook community?
We're hoping to hit 6,000 by the end of the year. So it was launched November the 1st last year. And it took me, I think the first weekend, we had about 500 women involved. And I think you're right from the timing of the world being ready for walking. I mean, the stuff that I talk about is stuff I've been talking about for years. And sometimes it can be a little frustrating when now you open magazines and you read books by psychologists and everyone saying how great walking is. And I think, I've been saying that for years. But of course, you need sometimes the people with the gravitas and the positioning to say what you've been saying, because actually that elevates it, because they have a different position as a leader than you do. And it may infuriate me sometimes, but I've also come to accept it. Yeah. And I know that as my leadership grows, that I then am in a different position to influence others, and that all that is really, really good. Yeah.
Sure. So what difference does it make from a business perspective having that tribe now? Like, what is different about the way you do business now that you have this community?
Having this community is just it's so affirming, but it's also so reassuring. Now, my community doesn't rush and buy every single thing that I do. And that's an interesting thing to have learned as well, because I know people absolutely adore the community. I get messages all the time thanking me for setting it up. But it's a community around walking, but also not, I think when people think of walking, they think of physicality. Walking is actually so much more than physicality. And I would say that often the mental health benefits that walking brings are just as important, if not even more so. And that was very apparent during lockdown, because there were people in many parts of the world, and we are a global community. There were people in many parts of the world who were not able to walk. They weren't allowed out to walk. And so the community was a lifeline. But a lot of the people on the community, they join because of other people's recommendations, but they don't always go and look, for instance, at the about side of the community, the about page, to find out who I am and why I'm doing this and what my mission is. And so that's been a very interesting eye-opener for me, because it's also the importance of me telling people, and not just telling them, actually helping them understand why I do what I do, how it has hugely affected my life, because it was the major tool I used to recover from burnout and adrenal fatigue, and how it continues to influence the life of so many other people who don't want to settle for a mediocre or a mundane or I've got to a certain age in life and this is all I can expect life. So, there's always a role for me to step up in that aspect of my leadership, as well as the walk, leading, enjoying nature, physicality, that kind of side of things. Yeah. So that tribe is huge, and it's helping me, of course, to then be part of other tribes.
Yeah, because I've seen so much growth since working with you, like your confidence, the way you talk about yourself now, you're not just a walking coach. And I know when we first started, we did a lot of work on your bio and how do you describe what you do. And, I always said you're a transformational coach who happens to use walking as the tool, as the context. Yeah. And I think that has enabled you to step into your queen. And I know that we know that your predominant archetype is the mother. You can't help yourself. And the wonderful thing about archetypes is they're never negative or positive. There's always an illuminated side and a shadow side. And you know that often burnout comes from over-delivering, over-nurturing, not nurturing yourself. So talk a little bit about the mother archetype and what you've learned about yourself through the archetype process.
Well, I wasn't at all surprised to find I was kind of predominantly a mother. As you say, it's, I can't help myself. And, that has served me very well. A lot of my clients, in fact, the majority of my clients are women who know me, who've been on the periphery of my journey, who've been in various other tribes that I belong to. And because of that, they do step up and they do join me and they love what I do. And so it's taking the good of that, and I do nurture and I do spend time, but it serves me well. But it is also recognizing that there is a shadow side, and, I have to keep, I think anyone who, well, the majority of women now, and it happens to men too, but the majority of women live very busy lives. Our whole society, even during the year we've had, is still stressful, overwhelming, uncertain. And we then live on our adrenaline and we raise our cortisol levels. And so we need to learn to look after ourselves. And I have learned to mother myself more and more. And that's been a whole new part of the work well, not new, but it's a part of the work I do that I think I've pulled out. So that's the good side of mothering. And of course, I don't have to deliver that only individually. I can do that, in a group format.
Yeah.
But it's, I've also learned, and it's interesting that maverick is not I am not a maverick. I'm a bit quirky, I'm a bit different, but I'm not a maverick. But actually, it's one of the archetypes I feel I should start to step into more often. And I think you'll be quite pleased to hear that. Because
it's never about should, right? So it's never about
good
should.
point. Thank you for pulling me up there.
It's always about desire. And so when you desire and you think, oh God, that would be a bit of fun. But when you, and the Maverick is the Maverick and the Shapeshifter, both fantastic, fun archetypes. And it might be that you're not naturally aligned to them, but you can sprinkle bits of it. And one of the things that I've loved about seeing your community grow is that, you know, for the last 12 months, it's definitely a bit about growing the community. And you know, the next step is activating them. And you've activated them with various things, your book, your badges, you know, some of your programs. And so there are elements of the Maverick, you know, that testing things and trying things out and doing things slightly different to the other walking groups out there. And we are never just one thing. We are never just one thing.
No. And I love the Queen archetype. And I definitely embrace that more and more. And it's so wonderful to be in that Queen archetype with that vision. And you need to be to look at the big picture, but also to bring people into your realm, so to speak, not only into your tribe, but to bring, so, you know, I one of the things I've done this year is I've grown my team. And I'm mother and I nurture my team. But again, I make no apologies because I have a spot on team who, again, love working with me and are totally bought into the business. And it's about helping them, for instance, using that as an example, to see the vision. So it's helping others. And the other one that I do quite a lot is facilitation. I facilitate the journey of my clients, for instance. And that's a beautiful archetype because it's a great privilege to be allowed to facilitate people's journeys and the changes they make, you know. So, and I do love the fact that you are not one archetype, that you are a mix of a whole lot of them, and it's really exciting to look at developing aspects of the others and bringing their energies into what I do on a daily basis.
Because we often get stuck as business owners, right? We get stuck in a rut, we get stuck with our confidence, we get stuck when the world changes and we haven't caught up yet. And one of the things I love about the archetypes is that whenever you're stuck, you can go, right, what is going to change the dynamic? What is, you know, so if you're stuck in facilitation or mentoring or teaching, you know, doing something that's more about the creator or the Maverick can just switch things up for a day to bring you the energy or the traction or the newness that your business needs. And I think the facilitator is a very underestimated quality. And a very underestimated skill. I think often as coaches, as people in the online world, we over-deliver by over-teaching when actually what people want is just to be held. They just want a safe space to be held, to have the conversations, to ask questions. And that's been a big lesson for me, is to, you know, both you and Vic has said it, I over-deliver. I over-deliver because I want you guys to know everything I know. And one of my big lessons is about not throwing everything into the Tribe Builder program, and developing other spin-off programs that people can buy as like an add-on. So one of the things that I've been developing is a toolkit. So an Activate Your Tribe toolkit, which is available from today for just £47, you know, because not everybody has the money to invest in my 12-week program all the time. You know, some people don't have the time. So, and that product came out of the kind of creator space, right? And it also came out from me stepping into my queen, because one of the bullshit, you know, my bullshit button that everybody knows, all my clients know that.
I've had it used on me, yes.
I use it on myself all the time, because my bullshit belief was that I couldn't get transformation unless I was physically or virtually in the space with people, right? And I had this belief that self-study programs don't work. And that is based on a little bit of evidence. I know that it's something like less than 10% of people that download an online course complete them, which is terrible, you know, statistics. But I'm not everybody else. You know, my programs are really dynamic. And so I had to get over that to be able to do some more of the kind of passive income things. So for people watching this that have ambitions to grow big tribes, what would your advice be to them?
Believe that you can. Don't let other things you've read, for instance, that you have to be a huge business, you have to be turning over millions to enable you to become a global business. That's not true at all. Believe that you can do it, and actually get your tribe to help you build it. Activate your tribe, inspire your tribe, because it's the tribe as well who has actually helped to grow this, because they believe in it. They want to bring other people to it. And it's been really interesting, because when you start that, what I've really noticed this year is the approaches from people that I've never, ever heard of. And I don't just mean those who want to belong to the tribe. I mean, well, your tribe, of course, is more than just your community. So not just those who want to belong to the 1 Million Women Walking community, but those who have seen blog posts, listened to podcasts, etc., who are in the States, who are in, Australia, New Zealand, who have reached out to me and said, I think it'd be really good to discuss a collaboration, or would you like to come and be interviewed by me, or I've just written a chapter for a book that is predominantly a US-based book, but we have got 5 UK authors on it this time, and I know that will help my positioning, my profile, the community's growth as a global business. Yeah.
I love it. And so one of the things that I often hear from business owners, and like the type of clients that I attract, very diverse in terms of age, in terms of background, business type, all of those things. But I do attract women of a certain age who often email me and they say, I'm done. I'm just exhausted by my business. I'm exhausted by the online world. I feel like I can't keep up. I feel like I've lost my opportunity for growth. I feel like I've left it too late. Now, I don't know that you felt any of those things because you've never expressed them explicitly, but what would you say to anybody that isn't a millennial, that isn't, where technology and the growth of online isn't second nature? And again, I'm not saying that about you at all. What would you say to people that think that they've left it too late, or that they're not, they don't have the skills to grow a global online movement?
Where's the bullshit button? No, it's absolute bullshit. Actually, that question, I started my journey as a coach and a mentor way back in 2000. And I'm still here in 2020. One of the things that's really resonating with was, do you remember when I was writing my book and you didn't like the format I was writing it in? And you suggested I do a past, a present, and a future. And you also know me, that I usually have to sit with a different idea for about 24 hours. And then I realized, yeah, of course it's the right way to go. In writing the future, and this is very relevant, in writing the future of that book, I was looking towards my legacy. And it wasn't, I think when you mention legacy to people, sometimes they think, oh my God, that's talking about end of life. That's horrible. It's doom and gloom. It was the most inspiring, motivating, empowering thing to do, because I started to look at what I wanted my legacy to be. But I also, I am not about to pop my clogs, and I am not in my, early 20s, 30s, even 40s, or even 50s, actually, early 60s. I will take complete and utter ownership for that. I intend to still be running my business in the next 10, who knows? I still intend to be out in the Camino when I'm in my early 80s. So it is a load of bullshit. And get rid of that idea, because you can do anything. And I am not a techie person, as you know. I didn't take that as any kind of insult. There are people out there you can get to do the stuff for you. You do, I used to find it extremely frustrating trying to do some of the tech stuff. Now I just get somebody to do it. And the other thing is, I just maybe take a little longer to take it on board. But that's because I didn't grow up with all that stuff. It's not that I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I choose what I want to do. I'm able to do the stuff I need to do on a day-to-day basis, and the stuff I don't need to do on the day-to-day basis, I give to somebody else who can do it quicker. And I spend time on doing what my magic and what my brilliance is.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the speed in which you grew your movement shows that it can be done relatively quickly. So, you know, you transformed your business in around a 6-month period, didn't you? And then once you hit that tipping point, there was no stopping you. It was about momentum. It was about shifting the model and then just going full blown. And that's the thing that I really respect about your journey. Once it felt right and it felt aligned to you, there was no stopping you, and your mission and your vision is so powerful. It's why you've been able to galvanize people in the way that you have.
Can I just say one thing, actually, that I meant to say earlier? One of the great things about Tribe Builder that I learned, and I still hold on to every single day, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. And you telling me that, teaching me that, freed me up so much. So anybody who's listening to this and is, you know, a lot of us are really looking for perfection, please let it go, because being able to test things, being able to say, this is a beta test, this is a trial, this is a pilot, and let me know what you think, is so freeing, so liberating. And, you know, that changed my business too.
Yeah. And it's that thing of perfection. Like, I don't have that gene around perfection, but it still does niggle at me. It still niggles at me because I want to have done my best job, if that makes sense. So I know a few errors came into the book. They've been addressed now, but anybody that pre-ordered, there were a few editing issues with it. And, you know, the other night I was really upset about it. I was like, God, I worked so hard and I paid editors and all of this kind of stuff. I was just a bit frustrated at the speed in which I took it to market and that I didn't spot those errors. And then I got a beautiful testimonial from a lady that had read the book and was just so compelled to get in contact with me. She said it spoke to her. And so people, when you are yourself, when you're authentic, people don't see the mistakes. You know, it's part of you being human. And actually, I think when you are human and you are flawed and you have things that go wrong, people just feel like, I can trust you.
Yeah. You're not this perfection on a shelf that they will never attain. You are leading by example, demonstrating, which you do all the time. And that allows people to think, if she can do it, if she can come through those not so good times, and I hope people think that about me too, then and get to where she is, I can do that too.
Yeah, I love it. So what would be your message to anybody watching this, anybody thinking about growing a tribe for next year? What would be your number one message to them?
Just do it. Do not put it off any longer. Just do it. You will not regret it.
Yeah. And so share with everybody, how can people get in contact with you and find out more about your movement?
If you go to my website, which is 1millionwomenwalking.com, there you can find out everything that we do and join our inner circle and everything, but also the community on Facebook. Look for groups and look for 1 Million Women Walking, but the word this time. Yeah, sorry for the confusion, but anyway.
I loved interviewing you. I could always talk to you all day long. I can't wait to the days that we can meet up in person again and go for a walk and all of that kind of glorious stuff. Thank you, Heather. I love having you in my tribe. You know, I think you have just shown people what is possible when you really commit to your mission. So well done, you. Like, I'm just super, super proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you. I have loved being part of the tribe, and thank you very much for bringing me here today to be interviewed.
Brilliant. Guys, we are going to be joining you next at 10:15, where we're going to be talking with the lovely Rachel Maunder about how to tell your story to grow your tribe, even if you don't have a big story. So do join us in a few minutes and go buy that book.